Episode 10, Witchcraft in Dreams. Hello everyone, here we are once again on Journey Through the Dreamscape. I welcome you to episode 10. Thank you everyone who has tuned in and continued to listen to this podcast. Hello if you're new, thank you for joining us. With welcoming all of you guys, I have so much to tell you guys, to catch you up on within just this last week. There has been so many things, so let's just jump right in and get into the poetry section. So I have a wonderful, beautiful poem that I have written and will share with you guys. It is called Introspection, Two Sides of Same Coin. Like the black hole consuming, a white hole sends spewing. To unravel mysteries within history, one must see. Be introspective. The mind is like galaxy, as emotion is like stream. Consuming knowledge of what is leads to spewing, vocal relief. For balance equals to two. Thank you. That was Introspection. And it will be up on my website if you want to go read it and see the little photo I picked for it. And on my website, you will find much more than just that one poem. You will find so many more poems. You will also find homemade dream journals that I make from recycled paper and just so much more. Go check it out. But let's just get into the catch-up for this week, all right? So, wow, I have so much to share, but also I have a book review for you guys. This isn't just like a casual read book. This is more of like a encyclopedia. You're trying to figure out what these things are and their uses. It's The Crystal Bible by Judy Hall. So there is a little story behind this book review. Our guest today, Aurelia Luciano, is actually the person who let me borrow this book. And let me tell you, I have been going through it, shuffling through it, looking at different crystals and just their uses, and I want to know more about crystals. I want to know exactly what they're used for. I kind of want to sharpen my mind and know my crystals, you know? There was a little synchronicity, something silly. The oracle card I pulled for last week was carnelian, right? And oddly enough, Aurelia had not listened to that episode yet, and she had carnelian bookmarked in the book when she gave it to me. That was wild. That was the first page I opened up. Still looking into that sign. Interesting. Little validation, I suppose, for being on the right track. Anyways, I went through this book and I marked off crystals that just caught my eye that I was like, oop, I really like that one. Let's see what the uses are for. And majority of the ones that I was like, ooh, that one's really pretty and really pulls me in. Most of them have been for dreams. Well, going away from this book a little bit, but still diving into crystals, I went to a crystal shop with David. I was after work. I was like, okay, I took some notes. Here's some ones that I want to get. I want to pick up. I really want these ones. And we'll just explore and see whatever else we find, okay? So I went around, I was picking up the crystals, seeing which ones called to me. I found them, got them. I specifically did not want to grab a black crystal that day because I just didn't want to. I wanted to get the ones that I had actually written down, which were none of them were black crystals. But I had just made that little mental note, no black crystals today. No entirely crazy reason why. I just want to stick with what I got, right? Well, we went there and I found a feather that I really liked. I love feathers. I love birds. I love having feathers. And well, I went to the register, checked out. I felt a little checked out for a moment, kind of zoned off a bit, and the lady was like, the card reader should work. And I was like, oh, yeah, sorry. I was imagining something for a moment. Don't know, I was just zoned out like entirely, imagining an entire conversation that I did not have. And we left. David and I were heading home. Okay. Oh, by the way, the lady also gave a little gift, which was Palo Santo, which if you don't know, that's a piece of wood from a tree and you burn it and it like cleanses a space. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff behind that. But they gave that as a bonus. They just threw it in there. They didn't throw in anything else, just gave that. And I left. It was really windy that day, by the way. And I was having a very rough week, which we'll get into afterwards. But David said, hold on to the bag tight so like nothing gets out, right? And I was like, okay. He was a little stressed at the moment because he really wanted to be back home. He doesn't really like to go out a lot. And through this last week, we've been out of the house a lot. And he was carrying my bag, so I was carrying just the bag of crystals and some snacks that we got from work. And we get to the train, and I look in the bag, and the feather was gone. It blew away. And that was the icing on like the entire cake of stuff that had happened that week. That was just so detrimental. That was like the saddest thing that could have happened. And I started crying. And we went back to trace our steps, even though he wanted to go back home so bad. We just tried, even though it was a super windy day. We went back a couple blocks where we thought it happened because there was a huge gust of wind. No feather. He's like, Angelina, I will buy you whatever feather you want. Like, I'll order it for you. I'll get it for you. Just can we please go home? And I was like, okay, but that was my feather. And he said something that was just so interesting. He said, like you said, Angelina, if it blew away, it wasn't meant to be. And as rough as that was, and you're sitting here thinking like it's just a feather, Angelina, well, it was not to me. And I was just like, well, it's a tough pill to swallow, I guess. It wasn't my feather, I guess. So, but it was very sweet. He said, I'll get you a flamingo feather. I'll get you whatever feather, an owl. You like owls. We'll get you an owl feather. Try to cheer me up. We got to the train and we headed home. And when we got home, I didn't look in the crystal bag for a bit because I was just so down on that feather. And after me and him talked and he cheered me up a bit, I went through the bag to find a black crystal. And I kid you not, that was so weird. And it's sitting right here as I record because it is so strange. I did not pick up a black crystal and that lady did not slip one in the bag. I'm not saying it just magically appeared there, but I'm saying this crystal fell into the bag or slipped into the bag somehow. I did not pick this one up. And it was not bagged with the other crystals that the lady put into a little pouch. This was just sitting at the bottom of the little brown paper bag. And I still am not sure what kind of crystal it is. I kind of think I'm tied between two things. It's not just like a regular crystal, it's mixed. It is black tourmaline mixed with either red jasper or black tourmaline mixed with red hematite. And either way, I did not pick up a black crystal. I gave all the crystals to David to hold as I was going around, and they were all like greens and blues. All right. And this was in my bag as I specifically noted in my head not to get a black crystal, and it still ended up there. Also, the black tourmaline is like very special and close to my heart because it is a crystal that I dreamed about before, and I didn't know what this crystal was at the time until after the dream. So it's just very odd and peculiar that this ended up in that bag, and I am still pondering that, but I think it's probably important, so I'm keeping it close. With that, just, yeah, these are the signs, guys. This is crazy. I could not make this up. This is like something that I'm like, what? And with that, this week has been entirely tough and crazy. I did another vending event. It was actually Aurelia's event because she hosts and curates a lot of events around Jersey City, and she is so lovely and invites me to join her. And I had a table there and went good. It was a cute night. It was nice, warm, inviting. Everybody there was so sweet. Well, after we left that night, Aurelia was carrying her mic, her speakers. David was carrying like all of my stuff, and I was carrying more of my stuff, and we were all heading back the same way. And I, without thinking, this is what's entirely crazy. I have a portable charger the size of my phone, and I had it plugged into my phone. And I took the portable charger out of my phone, tossed it in my bag, and put my phone into my jacket pocket, which I never do because I get so anxious that I'll lose it somewhere. Well, this time I wasn't thinking because of all the stuff and everybody that was there. I put it into my pocket. We went to the train station and it slipped out of my pocket. And usually I also look back and double check, like if anything fell. That night I didn't because when the train showed up, I was just so consumed by our conversation David, Aurelia, and me were having that I was just like, no, I have everything. And we got on the train. That was that. Well, guess who lost their phone and had it stolen? That was me. So rough week. Also, guess which girly has no insurance on her phone at all? Also me. So I know what you're thinking. That's crazy. You're silly. You lost your phone. I also know that some of you are also like, if that was me, I'd be freaking out. Well, I was, and it was more for like security purposes. Like I have a lock and it's like hard to get into iPhones, right? But it was still like just not knowing who has my phone and being able to track it, and like nobody could do anything about it. Like the police can't do anything about it. I don't know who this person is, what their intentions are. But someone said something to me and it also clicked while I was at work. The owner came in and said, sometimes some things need to be lost. And I agree. I kind of see this as like a good thing. I wanted a new phone, and now this gives me like a reason to get a new phone. Whether or not like it's the best reason to get a new phone, it's like a push to get something fresh and new. Also, this break from social media. I have my iPad, like I could still get onto some things, but it's like I can't use that everywhere. And also, it gives me a reason to take a step back and kind of be in my own bubble for a moment. And I think that's a blessing. I think from this, I've also seen like how much we rely on our phones, how much we use them. I do care about having a phone for safety purposes, but as for like scrolling on Instagram or on social media, I just see it as like a nice, refreshing break in that I don't have the obligation to answer everyone. Like I don't have a phone, so I can't answer everyone all the time. And I will be getting a new phone soon, but it was like a step back. And the owner saying that some things do have to be lost, I think that resonated a lot because, yeah, sometimes it's the things that we don't want to lose and we do, and it's kind of like a test, like, hey, you'll get through it. I don't know. I just feel like I should share that this week and that was something worth sharing. Hopefully that hits some of you and you can relate to it. Okay, so I also have the Drop a Dream box here. Like I said, I still had like 4 more in here. We're only gonna do a couple just because like the time right now, and we're gonna get into the main topic. So let's see what I pull out. Okay, here is the slip I pulled, and it is typed so beautifully. I dreamt that I was on the back of a giraffe, and instead of feeling scared, even though I was not secured by anything, I embraced the freedom of this beautiful environment I was in and decided to lean back onto the back of the giraffe and ride it to wherever it decided to go, allowing myself to freely be thrown around. This was significant because I have had several iterations of dreams, riding out of control horses or driving cars I cannot control that keep speeding up. So having this dream where I had no worry and the animal was larger, I was less secure and I decided to surrender control. This was all really significant. This is a very beautiful dream, and thank you for sharing first off. Also, yeah, just having these dreams before of riding these other animals that were slightly smaller and feeling like you can't control them, that you don't know where you're going, and just like this craziness definitely feels like holding on to situations or issues in life a little too strongly, things that you should loosen your grip on a bit. Could be like a grudge, could be like this helplessness, this feeling of like sadness, fear, uncertainty, and just holding on to that so much and being in this like mind of messing up. or not knowing where your life is going, to then have this dream of this like huge giraffe that you're riding, not secured in any way, but just like giving into that and having this blissful moment is like very beautiful. It sounds like you've done like a lot of work, could be like unconscious work that you've just kind of something clicked. And it's just so beautiful. It sounds like you are on the right path. It sounds like you are finally giving in to life, to change, to just allowing the things you cannot control happen. And the things that you can control, like your emotions of like enjoying this moment, being free and riding this animal with no restraint, like letting the animal within you come out. That's just very beautiful. I hope that kind of like made that a little more clear for you. I am going to choose to let that one be the one with the spotlight for this week. As for everyone else who had wrote a drop a dream, tune in next week to see if yours is featured on here. So with that, let's get into this little introduction of what we're going to be talking about today. We have our amazing, fabulous, beautiful, lovely guest, Aurelia, joining us. And wow. Me and her talk about witchcraft, Santeria. We talk about dreams and substances. We deep dive into who she is and how she dreams, and it's just so exciting. She has so many interesting stories from her childhood, and she shares them with all of us. And yeah, I hope you guys are excited, and I hope you guys are ready to sit back and listen to what comes out today. And let me know, too. Like, hey guys, send me a message. Like, write straight on the podcast wherever you listen to it through. Like, write what you think. Write if you like the episode, what you want to hear. I might pick whatever you put out there. I might make an episode about it. Hey, I can't know what you guys want to hear without you guys telling me. So send it my way. Send it on my website. Send it straight on Spotify. Email me. Like, there's so many options. Also, don't forget, you guys can drop a dream and I could share it on the podcast if you don't want to have your voice on here. Or you can email me a dream and I can make an episode about it. That's pretty cool. You can like be on a podcast. So yeah, consider it. And with that, let's dive right into the topic. Join me after the break where we will have Aurelia joining us. For this week's episode, we have Aurelia joining us. She's one of my best friends and an incredibly bright, lovely soul. She is a poet and event producer in New Jersey and goes by the title of Golden Light Poetry. Aurelia.
Hello, everyone. What's up? I'm excited to be on.
I'm excited to have you on. Let's see. So, Aurelia, how often do you remember your dreams?
I would say that I remember my dreams probably 50% of the time. And then once I get maybe like halfway through the day, I have already forgotten most of the details. I'll just remember the things that stuck out to me the most.
So, going off what sticks out to you the most, do you have certain themes or symbols that show up often?
I would say that a lot of the themes that show up in my dreams are usually things that happen in waking life that I don't get to discuss out loud with other people. The things that I have repressed, a lot of repressed anger, a lot of conversations that I never got to have in real life are things that show up. And let me see, I'm trying to think of anything else. I would say those are the things that pop up to me the first thing when I think of that.
Do you try to listen to those? And like, what do you try to do after you have those? And have you noticed it and you've been like, oh, I've repressed this?
So I will either, sometimes when I wake up from the dream, I will write it down on the nearest thing, which is usually my phone. I'll open my notes app and I'll write the dream down or what I remember from the dream. As the day goes on, if I'm not already absorbed in thinking about the dream so much, I will go back to the notes, try to decipher it, which ever since having met you, I have somebody else that I can like play ping pong with about my
Discuss
dreams to
it.
kind of, yes, to decipher what everything means. Or before I met you, I would take certain things that would stick out to me in the dream and look them up and write them down what the themes around this one specific thing are. And once I think I have like a good puzzle underway, whatever I take away from that, I will try to apply it as much as I can in real life, or I just make a mental note of like, this happened in my dream. If it's deep enough to me, then I will do something about it.
Mhm.
But first is always unpacking.
Like healing or like reflecting and just like, okay.
Yes, absolutely.
So going into that a little bit more, what's your background and how did your family slash people you grew up with view dreams and how did that have an effect on your dreams?
In terms of my background, do you mean like the way that I was raised or my ethnicity?
You can take it however, just anything that you feel has had an impact on your dreams, or just like maybe if you share dreams with your family frequently, or if they just looked at dreams like, it's not really anything important.
So both of my parents are from the Dominican Republic, and Dominicans really, some of them do, some of them don't. We have a lot of religious Dominicans which are mostly Catholic, and the ones that are not religious are more spiritual inclined, which I don't know if you've ever heard of, but they believe in Santeria. And a lot of the times in Santeria, they are intuitive, spiritual, and they believe their dreams, and there's always a message in the dream. Growing up, nobody in my family, like none of my siblings, ever believed in Santeria or dreaming or anything witchy related. And I guess because I don't really know if it's because I was closer to my mom, but my mom definitely believed in her dreams and things like that. So I was also more inclined to believe in those kinds of things. So anytime I had a dream as a child or a premonition or any sort of like calling from my intuition, I would follow it, or I would just immediately tell my mom because I knew my mom would always believe me. And there was a lot of weird, freaky things that would happen as a child in our apartment. I remember our first apartment, a lot of weird things would happen, and I would always either be the one that would lead my mom to like whatever I dreamt of, or any weird thing in the apartment, like, hey mom, this is going on, and it would like unpack this whole other, either a drama or a dilemma. And yeah, so we were both pretty in tune in that way. A lot of the time I remember I was listening to your episode today with Sarah, and I know you guys spoke about anxiety dreams, or when you're dreaming and you can't wake up but you want to. Like, I've had a lot of those kinds of moments as a child as well. And it would always be something linked to either where we lived, the people surrounding my mom, or just something that she needed to know that she wasn't seeing in plain sight.
Do you have any that you want to share about that as an example that you remember vividly, or just one that had an impact on you?
One that I can recall, I don't remember exactly, but in Santeria, which is basically for us is witchcraft, it's just voodoo almost. It's called pisando. So basically it's a ritual where you step on someone's life basically to keep them stagnant in one place. So I remember like running through the hallway and going into my mom's closet, which was near the living room, and I found a shoe, and it had a papers inside of the shoe and under of names, and some of the names were like of my siblings or of my mom. And I didn't like, I was too small to know what to do with this, but I remember like getting my mom and leading her to the shoe and her finding the paper. I don't recall exactly what it is that made me go to the closet and search for that. I'm pretty sure I had to do something with the dreams. I also recall dreaming of my mom being near a window, and I had to be like 4 or 5. Um, Dreaming of my mom being near the window, but that was all I remembered. And then when I was a kid, my mom used to wash clothes by hand, and she would put them on the,
My
what do you
grandma
call
too,
them?
with the little clotheslines and stuff.
Yes, the clothesline. So we lived on a fourth floor walk up, and we had a clothesline. So she would wash the clothes and hang them on the clothesline. And one day she was all done hanging the clothes. and the window out of nowhere, because the window never had any issues, but she was trying to close it. And it's like it had no suspension, and the window literally came down and like it didn't chop her finger off, but it shattered the whole top bone part of her finger. And she had to go to the hospital. Now she had she's had it for a really long time, but she has nails as bones in her finger. But yeah, it's just little things like that that lead me to believe that there is always something that your dreams are trying to tell you. But there have been people in my past who have been like, oh, it's just a dream. It's not a big deal. It's nothing. And I'm like I'm always in this awkward place of like, does this really mean something or is this just something simple?
I want to get back into the dreams, but I'm just so interested about this Santeria because I mean we've talked about this and like I've been pretty interested in all like witchcraft and just spirituality. But the listeners don't really know much about that. My family is from Mexico, so there's also Brujeria.
Yes.
And a lot of like candle magic and things. I have gone to a psychic before with Sarah, and that was so transformative and interesting. She knew things that she could have just not possibly have known. And also, she had mentioned something about someone I know in the family that is a little into that too, but more on the darker aspects.
Yes.
And she did mention, but they're Cuban. She did mention about a shoe and like kind of like a hex kind of thing going on.
Yes.
Pretty interesting that you said the shoe in Santeria. I don't know. Is there anything else that you can share about that? Just because it's so interesting to me. Like what is like a common practice? Because like I said, candle magic, right? And like in places in the world, like there could be chants or like dancing. Like what is?
I guess I'll try to elaborate as best as I can. But to me, Santeria, like I recall as a child, my mom would take me to these, what I call Santeria parties, where a lot of people are looking for guidance in divination of some sort. And it's weird that that you get to witness this as a child, but there was always one main person who was willing to open their vessel up for spirits to channel and come through them and channel people like any kind of insight or questions that somebody was looking for. And it was really strange. Like first it would always start off as the person who would open their vessel up to be drinking alcohol and like smoking cigars, like tobacco, basically anything that you would put on an altar to honor your ancestors. And our ancestors always had coffee, tobacco, because you know they work on the tobacco farms. Alcohol was always, because you know they say that alcohol invites spirits because it's a spirit, so that kind of opens the portal. There's always like sage incense, and once this person's soul is like so open that now they can call in whoever needs to hear a message. It was really strange. And in Spanish, they call it montándose. So it's kind of like getting on a horse. Like the spirit is getting on the horse, literally, of this person's body, whoever's offering themselves up. And I always remember this one Santa, a saint. Her name is Santa Anaisa. And she is a patron saint, I think, of children. And she would always just be like cackling and just drinking so much beer and wearing yellow clothing and very like sultry and lusty and just very like social and open and always wanting people to like touch on her and talk to her. And as a child, like I never knew what to do, but my mom would always be like, go talk to her. And I'm like, what? Like, okay. So I would just stand in front of her and I would have nothing to say, which is something that I kind of do now. If I'm getting like a tarot reading, I'm just like, please tell me everything. I don't want to say anything. Just like tell me whatever you have. And they will start telling you, like, you know, this is what your future is going to be like. And if you have any questions and you ask them, they will answer through the spirit that is in their body. A lot of Santeria is Catholicism mixed in with witchcraft together. So there's always that question of, am I supposed to be doing this? Is this the right thing? And I think that's where my siblings were kind of like weirded out when my mom would do like her candle magic. And it's so simple as like candles dressed in like thyme and rosemary and glitter, or special oils, or Florida water is something that we use very often to cleanse like the body, the mind, and refresh yourself. So it is very similar to what people call these days like new age mysticism. But it's been running for generations and generations. At a certain point, I didn't stop. I just kind of tweaked it into my own because it can get dark very quickly, and it can be consuming for your soul if you're not doing the right things and if you're not doing them with the right intention. I know that there's like you said, for Cuban people, Haitian people, Dominican people, we share an island, and all of this mystical, witchy things, they go back a very long time. And people think this is something new that's just happening. I think maybe newer is the crystals and stuff like that is a newer thing. But yeah, this stuff dates back ages and ages.
I think it's interesting that you said about if this is wrong, or not knowing about your mom doing candle magic or having these oils. I think that, obviously, very much my opinion, but I think that that's where a lot of people get caught up. I don't think that really matters to a point because everybody is so different. Whatever feels right for you, that's trusting your intuition, then that's right for you. It may not work for someone else. Someone talking about like the clairs and psychic abilities. Not everybody may hear things. Some people might see things. Some people might have dreams of things. Some people might just have feelings. It's different. And I mentioned the candle magic because I was listening to something the other day and it clicked. It awakened this memory that I was like, that always was a little strange. Because my family is also Catholic. My grandpa's very hardcore German Catholic. My grandma's not hardcore, like go to church every weekend. She's more like, I'll watch it in Spanish on TV. And, I just say, hi, God, that's it. And it's like, okay, grandma, that's all. She just, you don't have to do all that stuff. My mom is like in this crossroads of, oh, I also do Christianity and I'll go to those, but I won't go every weekend. And it's just that belief.
Right.
But I've always been curious, and I've been more curious lately about my ancestors because my grandma's from Sinaloa. I know Venezuela is where a lot of witchcraft is out there, but I mean, obviously it's spread out, but that's a really good place out there.
Right.
I'm curious if like her parents or like before that were into witchcraft or were into spirituality, and like it just got changed with Christianity and Catholic, like going out there.
Right.
Because my grandma still burns candles and she'd burn it with intention. Obviously, it would be like for Jesus or for God or Mother Mary, but that's still candle magic because she would burn it on certain occasions.
Right.
And my mom does have incense, but she wouldn't consider herself spiritual. How did I get into it? I honestly just don't know. I've never really was Catholic. I kind of just followed it because I really love my grandpa and I'd spent a lot of time with him and I wanted him to be happy. But even from a young age, I was like, this is cool and I respect it. And I respect people that follow this and love it. But I believe in a blend, these things from Buddhism, from Hinduism, from witchcraft. And I kind of have just collected it and I've to stem away from, is this wrong? Is this right? I'm just like, no, I really like meditating and I really like the Buddhist point of that. But I also like candle magic and the new age stuff too. I do like some of my crystals. I do occasionally do my tarot card. I have a pendulum, but it's like just this blend. And I think really reaching out and trying to figure out, do I like this is really important.
Right.
It leads you more onto your path. And I think it's good that your mom was very open to that and you had that close relationship. And she was like, yeah, tell me your dreams. Santeria, this is a real thing. Yeah, look at it if you want to.
Yeah, it was, now that you're talking about it too, I never understood, but now that I'm remembering, it makes sense. There was always this need of, I have to follow something. So if we weren't Catholic, the next year we were going to a Mormon church. If we weren't at the Mormon church, then we were going to the Jehovah's Witness. There was so many different phases of life where I think my mom was just searching for some kind of thing to anchor herself in,
Mhm.
and that would validate all of this other thing, all of this spirituality that she was learning. And even my dad, when he came to this country, I think maybe in the mid 90s, turned he turned to this not Middle Eastern, South Asian religion. And he was in the temple all the time and had his whole hair shaved and just this one braid down his back. So I feel, even though they're Dominican, but they have so many parts of the world within them. And I don't really know what, I guess you're always searching for something higher than yourself to
Mhm.
follow, to kind of validate the life that you're living.
Mhm.
Um yeah, and I mean, it's I said it has trickled down, all of the dressing the candles. And my mom always, if she goes away, I remember she went to Italy once and she got me like this huge green candle and it has a saint on it and a prayer, and just the ritual of saying all of these prayers however many times and praying on the rosary beads, but like including all of the little things. It's like, how can you separate those things, especially when it comes to religion, where people are literally having arguments about their
I
religion
think
every
that
single day?
Listen, I have so much to say about that, and I'm just gonna 1000% put all of my thoughts on this. The people that point fingers at for what you follow, it's just, I've said this in the last episode, it does not matter. It's depends, like it matters what you follow, right? But what's out of your control and they're not hurting anybody. Like we can learn from that. Yeah, we may be different, but you can probably learn something from that. Take a little bit. You don't have to follow it. You don't have to agree, but just the same respect that you'd want for yours. And
Yes.
then also just my family is very, very like my grandpa, like I said, hardcore Catholic. I've become comfortable with what I do, but yeah, I he's old. He's 89 now, but I don't think he'd understand it. He would be like, "What is this? That's wrong." And I'd
Yes.
have to be like, "Grandpa, no, it's not." But like I still have respect for yours. It just be something that it's like it's not what's that word? It's not, I don't know, communicated, not going through well. There's a little
Disconnect.
disconnect. Oh,
Dissonance.
dissonance? Yeah. But my mom, I would say, is more understanding towards that, but would still have like her judgments toward that. Also because of like the friends of the family being so deep in their religion. I think that like my grandpa's friends too would probably be like, what is that? Like that's wrong. This is like 99 reasons why that's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Or oh, you fell off and you'll come back. I think that saying those kinds of things is why there has been such a witch wound, which is talked
Mm.
a lot now too.
Yes.
And just like these wounds of trying to hide these things and not feeling comfortable in your own skin for stuff you believe too, because you feel
Mm-hmm.
like these random strangers or people are out to get you or tell you that what you do is wrong. While I don't personally do dark magic or dabble in dark stuff like that, I think if someone wants to do that, okay, but know what could happen. Know
Mm-hmm.
the pros, the cons, like if you're actually for that, do as much research as you want, like understand like the effects.
Right.
And if you still want to do that, that's your practice. I may not agree with it, but I'm not going to stop you either because that's your thing.
Right.
And I think that having that understanding is so important. And just, I don't know, that just translates to dreams too, because this disconnect from our dreams, right? We're not
Yes.
really talking about it because it's nonsense, but spiritually, in all these different cultures in the Dominican Republic, in Mexico, in Italy, in everywhere in the world, it's important, especially
Mm-hmm.
back to our roots. It was important and it still is. And it's just that repression of those things. And now we have so much anxiety, we have so much
Mm.
stress, we have so many things that we just don't voice.
Yes.
We feel uncomfortable to be ourselves. Listening to your dreams may not be the answer for all of that, but it is a step in the right direction.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. I think that because people, it's always just the feeling of this is too taboo. I can't talk about this with just anybody. Or you have that one person you can talk about it with, but maybe the rest of your group of friends won't. And we feel not accepted. And in not having that acceptance, we hide. We hide what it is that we truly believe in for fear that we're going to be judged for it. And today I also listened to that episode, the last one you uploaded, and I was, Angelina's so right. There are so many people who have hurt me before, but they are people too. And someone taught them this and they think it's right. And it's not my job to change their mind or to change their actions, but to just, accept that this is how they are and they're a person and I have to kind of let them be and do their thing. And I'm kind of veering off from what I originally wanted to say, but I agree with you. It's kind of with my students at work sometimes. We like to share snacks. So if they see me eating something, they're like, oh, Miss Aurelia, can I have one? And I'll be like, sure, here you go. And it could go one of both ways. And, kids, when they're 2 years old, they're like, they say how they feel. Yuck, this is so gross. And I'm like, you can say that you don't like it, but you don't have to say it's so gross because I like it. Just because somebody else doesn't like it, you might hurt somebody's feelings. You have to understand that this person likes what they're eating or whatever it is that they're practicing. And you can have your own opinion about it, but make sure you keep it to yourself because that one time that you go to school and somebody's, oh my God, that's disgusting, could literally change the trajectory of how you communicate moving forward for the rest of your life. Yeah.
I agree with that. I also think that, there's a way to say those things too. Instead of saying, yeah, that's gross, it could be like, oh, this isn't for me. But I could see how you'd like this, and I have these foods too that might be just to relate,
Right.
Or I don't know. And I think that it's so quick to be like, don't say that, don't do this, don't act a certain way. You need to have this identity outside, and then this one is inside. And you show that inside one, then you might be crazy. Like that person down the street, they're really crazy. Look at them, they're super crazy. It's just, I think, I don't know. It's just, I think it goes to that saying that, which is pretty easy to say too, is, if you're yourself or you feel like you're hiding parts of yourself around friends, they're not your friends to begin with. And that's tough.
Absolutely.
But once you start truly being yourself, while it may take a while, you will bring in that crowd of people. You will bring in those people that will be like, huh, I actually like that. Yeah, that's so cool. Wow, I didn't think of it that way.
Right.
I love how we just went into this whole time.
This is not about dreams.
It's so important. So I'm so happy I could have this talk with you. You did mention something, which I wrote down, and I remember a conversation from before about substances and dreams.
Oh, yes.
I have so much jotted down here that I would love to go into. But do you have anything to say about this? Because I remember you brought this up. Is there anything specific you want to say? Do you want me to start off with this and then you kind of bounce off of it? What do you want to do?
I guess I will start and I'm happy that you brought this up because I feel for the past couple of weeks, the topic of addiction has been a theme that is happening, like a reoccurring theme in real life, whether it not directly with me, but with my anniversary coming up next month of 2 years sober from alcohol. I keep having these thoughts. I was thinking about it today too. I'm like, I'm going to have this talk with Angelina, and something that I have noticed with people who are dealing with addiction or substance abuse or just even recreational use is that they don't dream very often. From the time that I was about 21, when I was 21, my daughter was already 2 years old. And that was when I started drinking and smoking weed. And from that time all the way until maybe 28, it increased. And then it got to a point where I was out of control and I started to notice, aside from doing all of these insane things while you're under the influence, having a lot of trouble sleeping and staying asleep and having a lot of trouble dreaming. Dreams would come literally maybe once every couple of months, and when it did come, it was so intense that I knew that this was a warning of something to come. So I'm very intrigued, and I've been thinking about it, people who deal with substance abuse or just recreational use, we think that these things are going to help us fall asleep because you smoke and you get that sleepy feeling, or when you drink you feel more relaxed and you think it's going to help you stay asleep, but it actually has the opposite effect, and you have trouble staying asleep, and then the next day you're so tired and groggy and grumpy the whole entire day because your body's trying to detox from whatever you put into your body. And yeah, so basically, now that I have been on this journey, almost 2 years sober, I'm starting to dream again. And it's not an everyday thing, but it happens. It happens often enough that I am starting to take notice of the difference. Whether it's every other day or once a week, that to me is pretty often compared to what it used to be before. And I find also, even during the moon phases, I find that the dream that also affects how often and what you're dreaming about. It could be more vivid, less vivid, or in one night, I have experienced having 3 different dreams back to back. So it's pretty intense being in the sober world, but it's also pretty cool because, I feel I'm in touch with this side of me that I haven't been able to delve deeper into.
Whoever's listening, guys, do what you want to do. I don't smoke weed. I personally don't like smoking weed. I never have. I don't like the effects. I also really care about my memory. And for me, it would mess with my memory. So instantly I was, yep, nope, this is not it. Drinking, I drink not so often. Usually, like, when my friends are visiting or like David's brothers, we have some drinks, but I'd prefer not to just because I'd rather just be sober. No shade or anything wrong with the
Yeah, I was just gonna say there's no judgment at all whatsoever. Like I don't feel like on this high horse because this is a new journey that I'm taking, but it's necessary for me because, and I said this at an open mic the other night, I'm completely rewiring my brain. I'm having these really weird, dense moments where I'm blanking out, which that's not normal, especially because we're not even that old. So no shade to anybody that does partake because I know the feeling and I know you guys have fun, and I have a lot of friends who still partake, and I encourage them to do what it is they feel. I'm never going to make anyone. Exactly. Do what you do what you like. If I love you, I'm still going to love you.
Be careful. Just
Exactly.
notice if it's for bad reasons that you're doing it, look into that. If it's not and you're just having fun, have fun. Go at it.
Yes, exactly.
But other than that, I've never done anything else. I like how you mentioned like the memory too, because when I met David, he actually smoked a lot. He stopped, not because I forced him, but he was like, I want to be with you. I know that you don't like that, and I respect that. And he stopped entirely,
Okay.
which I appreciated. And I was like, you really don't have to do that. I know what I like. He said, no, like, I want to do this. And I was like, thank you. After that, his memory started improving, but he still doesn't dream a lot. And he dreamed a lot. Like, he didn't talk about this in the episode that we had, but he did say he doesn't dream often. He told me he dreamed all the time when he was younger. And then once he started smoking, stopped. And I met a lot of people, and I've had a lot of friends who have said the same thing, that, oh, I don't really remember my dreams. Like, but when I stopped smoking, when I stopped drinking, oh, I have crazy dreams.
Yeah.
But it's like there's still this issue with remembering them or like recalling them and how quick it'll like kind of dissipate.
Right.
Which I also was looking into this because I wanted to bring this up with you. So alcohol and dreams, some people have also said that hard alcohol has caused sleep paralysis for them, which I haven't had that happen when I've drank before, but I could see that, especially with like the mess of like just all your functions and everything and your sleep patterns.
Right.
And obviously, like I said, with a lot of weed, like making people forget dreams. So like, yeah, occasionally I have met one person who was like, no, I remember all my dreams and I do smoke all the time. And I was like, okay. I was like, that's so interesting because I have not heard that. Benadryl and Midol causing crazy dreams, which someone actually came in to Lackawanna. I forget if I told you this, but it was so random. She was like, oh, you talk about dreams. I was like, yeah. She went, that's crazy. I don't dream, but whenever I have Midol, oh, I have crazy dreams. And I was like, and that was it.
It's so weird.
That's all she said. And I was just like, okay, interesting. I'm going to write that down and just like keep that in my memory bank.
Yeah.
And then how I like that we talked about witchcraft too, Santeria and all of that, because I have read this in a lot of dream books, witchcraft books, just all over. You probably know it too. It's a very big common herb, mugwort.
Yes.
And I have some other ones here, but mugwort is very commonly used, especially now, but also in the past. I feel like it's become more popular, especially Harry Potter. It's in Harry Potter
Mm-hmm.
too. They use a lot of real herbs.
Mm-hmm.
But mugwort is a favorite in spirituality, the witchy community, lucid dreaming community. Have I used it? I've had it in a little dream bag. I am very allergic to everything outside. So not be tasting that, but I guess some people do have it in teas, though I would do your own research because I know it is toxic in large doses, and you just
Mm-hmm.
have to make sure. I'm not recommending this. If you're interested, go look at it. But yeah, mugwort is a big one for lucid dreams, vivid dreams, and all of that. You can have it in a little bag with like lavender under your pillow because it smells very dreamlike. You could drink it. Some people smoke it. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't give you the effects. It's not like weed. It's not going to get you anywhere tripped out. It's
Yeah.
just I don't know. It's dreamlike. It'll chill you out.
So I go to this apothecary in Jersey City. It's called Rain and River Apothecary,
Oh
and
yeah.
I keep this in my desk because when I was weaning myself off from smoking weed, I needed something to kind of supplement the feeling of actually smoking. This is a smoke blend that's called Come By Daily. And its effects are clear thoughts, focus, mood lifting while chill, ultra calm, enhances concentration and sleep. And the herbs that are in it are damiana, mugwort, wild dagger leaf, California poppy, rosemary, mullein, marshmallow leaf, CBD hemp flowers. And like you said, when you smoke it, you're never gonna feel high, but it is like this feeling of like loosening your body up in preparation of receiving relaxation and rest. I have had mugwort in a tea before, but I don't recall if that time that I drank it, if I had any dreams. I just always feel this sense of like ease afterwards. I know that it's mugwort and also skullcap. I have heard that is helpful.
I haven't heard skull cap, but I do have African dream root, which is from South Africa, and I do
Okay.
have blue lotus on my list
Oh,
because
I've
those
heard
are
of that.
very big ones, and they'll usually be in a blend with that. Also lavender, like I said, because that's very like soft and like has a nice
Mm-hmm.
smell and it calms you down. Well, all of those African dream root, like I said, from South Africa, is supposed to bring lucid, vivid dreams. Also, they believe that you could speak with your ancestors while you use this.
Okay.
And it's pretty big in the spiritual community out there. I feel like it started to make its way out here too, and we've kind of just blended it into those things, just like
Yeah.
everything else. And then Blue Lotus, same thing. You could probably find that at a lot of little spiritual shops, herb shops.
Yeah.
Also have galantamine. I think I said that right. The one that you take usually for Alzheimer's or dementia because it helps with recall and memory.
Okay.
But people have taken this and have noticed more vivid dreams and remembering more dreams.
Okay.
And then obviously, like I said, after people remain sober for a while, it'll usually hit with like a series of dreams. Usually they'll be pretty strange dreams, spiritual dreams, like odd, maybe even like uncomfortable
Yes.
painkillers. Oh, I also read this, which I thought was pretty interesting. Nicotine patches. People, I guess it's a big thing, and I was looking on Reddit. So you know what? Do your own research because a lot of people were saying nicotine patches have made them have crazy dreams, and there was
Hmm.
like a whole community talking about that, and it was like
That
interesting.
that is interesting. I think when you are weaning yourself off, or if you're just going like cold turkey from whatever substance that you're using while you're having withdrawals, I know that it's known for you to have a lot of like intense dreams. And today I was actually reading that you like if you're in rehab or what have you, you dream very intensely about you actually using what you're trying to get rid of. So,
Mhm.
you know, your dreams are basically like your subconscious. And I feel like your subconscious either reminds you a lot about the thing that you're trying to change in your life. And yeah, it just makes you remember. So it's kind of like you're remembering why you're trying to forget this thing and stop it in real life in real time, which it's connected. It
Yeah,
makes sense.
I think it's definitely like that shock, your body being like, oh, we're doing something different suddenly.
Yeah.
Like, this is
Hmm.
crazy. I think your mind might also be on board with it and be like, yeah, like this was bad and we didn't like it for our physical body, but it's still in shock and so used to that that it's like, here are all these things. Here, take this, listen to this. We've repressed this. There you go.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think that is probably a very big thing of why that happens.
Yes.
And the weird ones, I think, could just be, again, like that repression, maybe through the months, years, days, however long it was you were doing whatever it was and then stopped.
Yeah. There are a couple of like so it's kind of like a double-edged sword, right? Because I know a tarot reader in New York who's like amazing. And I went on this retreat one summer and they were doing tarot readings for all of the women that were on the retreat. Their form of connecting with spirit is to smoke weed. And
Mhm.
so they smoke weed in preparation, they're calm. So like it's not this terrible thing, but it is something that if it is used, what do I want to say? If it is used irresponsibly and without intention, again, it can go wrong. You can become addicted to it. You're using it all the time to either not process your emotions, not deal with your everyday life,
I'm gonna say
or to
to
just
avoid situations or avoid feelings.
exactly.
Mhm.
And yeah, so it's either side of the coin. Like you can use it with intention and really connect with source and, you know, help you to use these tools of divination a little bit better. Or it can be the complete opposite. And you can just be using this thing that when I used to smoke, I would say I feel muted. Like I feel like my brain is muted. I can't really think straight. I can't receive any downloads. I can't focus, but also it was like using it just because it's there, just because I know I can have it, just because it's going to give me this feeling. There's a video that I found on Twitter the other day, actually, and it was like, this is how it feels when you use like when you're abusing substances, and it's just like a little duck and the duck is like running, 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 and he finds like this little puddle of yellow water and he sucks it up. And when he sucks it up, he starts flying and the sky is yellow and then he feels so good. And then he falls down to the ground. And then he's like running, running, running. And then he finds the same little puddle. But this time, the high feeling of being in the sky is shorter and it gets shorter and shorter. And every time they come down from it, they crash even harder than the last time before until everything is just dark the entire time.
Yeah,
And
the cycle.
yes, that's kind of where I was. And I was like, this is not fun anymore. I think it's time to put it down and give it a break. And yeah, it's kind of evolved into like a science project, science experiment where like, all right, let's see how your brain functions off of this so that if ever again you're able to partake in these substances, you will have more control over your own body and to make the decision to be like, I want to stop this, and also an experiment in the sense that now I get to play around with my dreams and explore them a little more and kind of hold on to them a little longer and really seek the message that is trying to come through for me.
Yeah, learn about yourself and get that, yeah, that healing, that
Yes.
whatever is coming from that, pointing you in the right direction or just like guiding you.
Yep.
Wow, I love this talk so far. This is such a good one. Let me see. Oh, I also wanted to mention this because I have the book open right here. There was one too. This was just going back to the mugwort, but I just wanted to throw this in. You can also make an oil out of these things, and it's
Okay.
called an astral eye opener oil for people that want to like astral travel or like specifically lucid dream and you want to try to onset this. Clearly, you could meditate before and like put that intention, but it says orange oil, lemon oil, eucalyptus oil, a pinch of crystallized camphor. I don't know.
Okay.
Right?
I know what camphor
And
is. Yeah.
then a pinch of dried mugwort. And then I guess you can like use this, make this, mix it, let it sit, and then use it whenever you want to on an astral travel or lucid dream. So that's something for you guys to look into. I don't know much. I have not done that. Like I said, I am allergic. So I will just stick to having bags of this stuff in my pillow far away from my face. But yes, I think that is very interesting. And I've seen it not just in this book. This is the craft of a hedge witch, but I have seen this everywhere. So I guess this is a big thing. I've even seen it in people that are more philosophical, who are more just on the science side of, oh, this has done that because of these properties. I don't know. Do your research. Thought that was interesting. Thought I'd throw that in there. Yeah, I was gonna also say, do you or have you ever tried to have a lucid dream, or have you tried to onset a certain dream? Have you ever have you ever had that? Have you ever done that? Had the intention?
I can't say that I've ever, I want to say no. Well, I guess not no, kind of like maybe. I know there are dreams that I recall having where I was having this kind of reoccurring dream back to back, maybe three or four dreams. They weren't always on the same night. And I would go back into this dream where the same person was. And I knew, like, I was aware that I was in this dream and why I was having this dream with this with this specific person, but I don't ever recall trying to control anything that was happening in the dream or change anything. I just knew that I was dreaming because I haven't seen this person in however many years. I've never fallen asleep and being, I know I'm going to dream about this thing and this is where I'm going and this is what I want to do. I feel like I never want to do that because I know that whatever I'm supposed to dream is just going to show up kind of thing. But I do know people who are very intentional about astral projecting and lucid dreaming and want that, and they are going to other places to literally reconnect with themselves, or not just themselves, their higher self, or with source. So the final answer is I knew maybe one time that I can recall where I knew that I was in my dream, but that was probably it.
I said earlier too, you know a lot about this, but I have been on that journey. I have been trying to enhance this more, not even just in the dream world, but psychic abilities. I've been so interested and so called to that. I feel there is something there on this path. Not even so, I want to get better at this dream interpretation. That's also why I'm doing this too, and to learn more about how people dream.
Right.
Teach other people about that too while I'm learning. But also, I just feel this call to, I don't know, maybe do readings one day or try to access that. Because the second episode was the Akashic Records.
Yes.
And that was super important because, yeah, I just feel a calling to do that once I first heard that word too. And just, it's so weird. I love it. It is so weird. I don't know where it's going to lead me.
Yes.
I want to share that with you. I want to share that with everybody who's listening too. If you have a calling for that, follow it. 'Cause you know what I was thinking of too? That were just like things that I didn't block out, but like they were there and I was like, I guess that's just like, it was more pointed when I was younger, like that's your imagination.
Right.
Our imagination's so real. I think that's so important. Our imagination is very real, and you know why? Because it still happens, and it's happening in this reality. So I don't care what, it's happening, and it is so true, and it is you. Like I said, huge Catholic family. For some reason, we had two little stone Buddhas that were like this big. One was jade, and I think one was like rose quartz. They were in my room, okay? And I was young. When I'd go to sleep, I thought my eyes were playing tricks on me because I'd see white glows from that, and they don't glow in the dark. I'd see white glows, but I'd also see like white glows, never any shapes or people, but like I'd see white glows like floating in the air, and I thought I was going crazy even when I was younger. But I didn't that. I wasn't like, I'm scared, let me go run to my mom's room. No, I was just, oh, that's interesting. There must be something here.
Yeah.
I remember mentioning it, and they were just like, don't ever talk about that.
She's on to something, but she cannot know what it is.
But, and then I've mentioned this before too, but like in Halloween Town, I like how the little young daughter who's a witch, the cookie started floating and she didn't know. And then
Yeah.
oh shit, I can't let her know. I always think of that because I was like, huh, that light. I just listened to someone's podcast and they're a psychic channeler. They do Akashic records and soul purpose stuff. And she mentioned about being young and seeing these things and how angels aren't tied to a specific religion. It's not just anything Catholic or Christian. It's literally anything. They're not tied to that. And
Yes.
I also believe because the Akashic records is the masters, the teachers, your spirit guides. That could be from any religion.
Yes.
Because they're all trying to like raise your vibration, your higher self. Just because you're not Buddhist, like Buddha is still there. Like that energy that trying to reach this like higher purpose in life is still there, and it could also help you and aid you. That could be the energy that's coming in too. Well, I kind of lost my train of thought, but that Buddha statue and stuff. Oh, the lady on the podcast. So she mentioned this about if you're not in such like a family that's so open to that spiritually, you might learn to close it off and like kind of shut that part off. And everybody has these gifts. It's not just, oh, that person's psychic, that's cool. They're very intuitive. I'm not like that. No, everybody has this. It's just working on those skills, and it might not be visuals, like I said earlier. It might be something else that comes to you. I do remember thinking I heard people like chattering and talking when I was younger, and that really messed with me because I'd be like, I must be going crazy.
Yeah.
All the time. It'd be random and I wouldn't talk about it. I felt if I talked about it, it'd be crazy. I couldn't make out anything, but I did hear that. And then like at some point it stopped for a bit too. And I think more because I just kind of like repressed that and it was just kind of the regular thing growing up.
Right.
But I always felt drawn to these things, especially when my mom would mention a psychic she went to. I'd be like, really, really? What was that like? What was she like? Did she do this? Like, did she? And it was like, I wanted to research this stuff. I wanted to research the stars, the cosmos. I had such an interest in space. And going into that too, like star seeds, which I want to have an episode on that and go into that more.
Yeah.
Is I remember being 4 years old, very young, and I think maybe it was a little bit young or older too, but very young, really being drawn to the constellation Orion. And I didn't know it was Orion. I just would see like the belt that looks like an arrow to me pointing.
Yes. Yeah.
And I was just like, wow, I love that star pattern. But I never had voiced it to anybody. I just kept it to myself, but I'd always look for it every night. Every night I would look for it and wish on it, like how wish upon a star, da, 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 da.
Yes.
I would every single night look for that and not tell anybody. And then my mom went to go get the house redone, and there were these guys working on the floors. And I remember staring up at the sky. They had a son too, who was like close to my age, but the guys obviously were older, probably like in their 20s, maybe like 30s. And I remember one of them being like, "Oh, what are you looking at? You're like the stars?" And I said, "Yeah." And this was the first time I ever mentioned it. I was like, "I really like the arrow." They said, "Oh, that's Orion's belt." I said, "Orion? It's Orion?" And they said, "Yeah." They said, "You didn't know?" And I was like, "No, I always look for the arrow, but I've always really liked those stars." They were like, "Oh, you should look into that." It was just so random. I never saw them again. But I was like, "Oh, that was so weird. Orion, okay." Well, when I saw the star seeds, the one that I felt drawn to was Minnetonka. I don't know if I said that right. I hope I did. But I also feel drawn to Orion. And that one is actually in the Orion star system. But also I just feel drawn to Orion in general. I always, even when I was young, before it was so influenced, it was just, I always was like, I love that constellation. I want to look for that every single night. I want to wish on that constellation every single night.
Yeah.
I would see these weird little glows that I thought was just maybe my imagination or the Buddha statue's dark movie. I remember I'd see that and then I'd talk to them and I'd be like, okay, I'm going to go to sleep. Just, I don't know, bless me. And I would just go to sleep.
Yeah. That all of that makes sense because now that you're older, and I've heard you talk about Orion's belt before and how they're connected to the star seeds, but also even the Buddha. Now you're older and you're kind of navigating this Buddhist world.
Yeah, so weird because at the
And
time, no, I didn't know anything about that.
yeah, exactly. And so it's these little things, these little things that add up to this whole culminating moment of like, eureka, now it all makes sense. And it also kind of makes me think of, I wrote this poem and it's called Bruja Turns Christian, something along those lines. And it's really, I became Christian again, maybe I want to say at the end of 2021, also around the same time that year. I have this really close friend who was, you should come to church with me. And we were going to church and I was doing Bible study and I was attending Bible study every week. And I picked up a Bible at the church and brought it home and I was, well, let me try to read the Bible. Both of my parents, they both have Bibles. My dad is like, he can tell you the Bible front to back without even reading it. My mom keeps her Bible open all the time. And basically, I start reading the Bible. I start looking at these different verses. And all throughout the Bible, like God created the moon and the stars. We need that for astrology, right? And then I start reading about all these different crystals, like the name of the crystals are in the Bible. All of these herbs that we use are in the Bible. And everyone will be, no, that thing is terrible. You can't do that because God says, and it's
in there.
Actually, it's in the Bible and it's not used for bad. So it's just like, yeah, so I wrote this poem and I was reciting it quite a while at different open mics. And it would always hit someone because someone would always be, oh my God, I grew up in the same way as you. And this really resonated with me and it touched me. And I'm so glad that I'm not the only one. But then there were people that were extremely religious who would listen to this poem, and I probably never spoke to them ever again. And it's kind of, I'm not lying. I looked it up. I wrote it because this is what I read, and I'm taking literally what I read and putting it in this poem. But I guess it also goes back to like all of this being so taboo and people wanting it to be wrong. If
Break the
crystals were
taboo.
evil,
Break it.
they right.
So what? I'm gonna be taboo, blah. Like what I'm gonna say that's so taboo. Mia Magic mentioned this on YouTube. Love her, by the way. I've gotten into her videos. She said this, and I was already thinking this, and I was like, whoa, that's crazy. Was first off, I've known this, and I think we've just kind of like, oh, glance over it. The Bible's been rewritten, right? Why did it have to be rewritten?
Mm-hmm.
Also, a lot of the places that they like brought that into were very spiritual.
Yes.
Had witchcraft. So they took elements of that when they were writing so that it'd be easier to blend into, so that it'd be more accepted, or you'd be like, oh, that's there. They took a lot of aspects of witchcraft. Also, what's to say? Jesus wasn't spiritual if he was more into that too.
Right.
That's been rewritten too, because I mean, Jesus, I believe, is real. I don't believe this whole story that was thrown in the way. I do believe he was a healer. He was there for the people. But I do think tying it to the church is a little...
It changes things.
Yeah. Which people are going to go, oh my God, that's crazy. You can't say that. I said
Yeah.
it. I believe. I just have always thought that's so weird. And you can say whatever you wish. Is even when I was growing up from a young age and I'd go with my grandpa, I always thought it was so weird that we are giving them money. But like, and if you don't, it's like looked down on. Like, why are you not giving them money? But yet this place is supposed to be to help people, to help the needy, to help people of all kinds. But if you do not give that, it's also, there'd be so much gossip at church too, by the way. There'd be so much, oh, they did this, oh, they did that. Or obviously not every place is the same, not everybody's like that, but there would be. And I just think a lot of that is like...
And that also goes to say people in the church that are they're extremely judgmental and harsh, and they create these rules of you need to dress a specific kind of way or you need to act one way. And God and Jesus love us in his image, the way that he made us. And I feel like a lot of people add so many, but this and this rule and this thing and this condition. But if God loved us unconditionally, right, and made us in the way that he sees us, then how come as human beings we're not doing that? And then it also goes to, as a human being, we're not perfect. We can't be like holier than thou. We can't make ourselves seem like, we're on this high horse, because we're not. We still are in the flesh. We still behave from the flesh. Even when we want to be our higher selves, we are going to make mistakes. So for all of you religious people out there that are listening to this, I hope we didn't ruffle any feathers. And if we did, that's okay. Maybe you'll think about it in a little bit of a different way. But it's also important to open up your mind, because if you can't open up your mind, you can't accept yourself. And then you're kind of you're not acting in a godly way.
Yeah. And going back to the Buddha thing too, it was just like, I knew nothing about that because my family was so, you have to be this way. This is how it was. Grandpa's Catholic. And I love him. I respect that. But I was just like, this is me. Like, I just love Grandpa. I don't want to see him sad. But then I was just like, it's not me. Like, I don't know what it is, but this isn't. And if that's bad, I guess I am bad. But then, yeah, it was just like, and my mom would catch on more and she'd be like, oh, you just want to be like that. Like, you're just being so cool. And I'd be like, I'm not, I'm being me. I don't know. It was not until high school that when I took this religious class of all religions, I was like, whoa, Hinduism thinks that we're like a drop and you drop it into the ocean and we're all connected. That's cool. I've always pictured it like that. And I didn't know that. I was like, I've always pictured it like drops of water. And we each are our own. And there may be some that are further out that we don't connect to so well, but we're still all this entirety of shades and colors and all of these emotions and stuff interconnected. And then the Buddhism and like meditation and just reflection and taking this time to close yourself off and just serving others, serving yourself and teaching. I was, wow, that's so cool. And most of the people that I've met that haven't been so judgmental, they've been like, oh yeah, like they learn about all these other religions too.
Right.
And they're like, I believe in this, but in this lifetime, maybe you are drawn to being Catholic. Maybe in this lifetime, and I just always thought that view was so, wow, that's so accepting. That's so like, you want to learn about this, you're still holding your truth, but you're still like, oh, that's so cool. Tell me about it.
Right.
Not, oh, that's weird. I don't like you.
Yes.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like you said, we're all connected, and we're all just trying to, especially in these really, really difficult times, we're all just trying to find something higher than us to believe in, to anchor us, to keep us going every single day. Because if we were to just rely on ourselves, I feel it would be a little bit difficult. So whatever that higher being is that you believe in, believe in them 100% and stick to it. And if it feels good, do it. And if it doesn't feel good, don't do it. And yeah, follow your heart.
And I think we're about to wrap this up. I think that's, well, actually, do you have any final questions or any like final words that you want everybody to either think about or something you want to say? I don't know. What do you have? Do you have anything?
I guess I would say that just, I'm trying to think, like piece it together, but I feel like since meeting you, and because you put so much emphasis on listening to your dreams, it all ties in with like not only just listening to your dream, because you're listening to your subconscious self, which is a part of you, listening to your dream, listening to your subconscious, listening to your intuition, but also finding space for you to listen to the darker side of you as well. Because a lot of times we try to separate that part of us because we're ashamed, because it's taboo, because it's different, because we're scared of what people might think if they know this side of you. But if you really tap into that side of you, you can really allow the light and the dark to combine together and continue to make like this well-rounded being. It's hard, but when you don't listen to all parts of you, then it's kind of like you're creating a stagnancy within yourself. You're not allowing yourself to heal and to grow. And yeah, just listen to yourself. And whether you are religious or not, whether you're a Wiccan, a pagan, all the things, Catholic, Mormon, you still have all of these. We are multifaceted. And if we, as a human being, if you were just like this one part of you, what happens to all of the other sides? Like, do they just die away? So if we're not tying all of these parts of ourselves together to create the person that we actually are and to evolve into this higher being that we want to be, I guess it could leave you almost kind of like a lost soul in a way. And I think that that's important for me in this lifetime to figure out before I transition.
Yeah.
Because when I transition, I believe that there is another life, but I just don't want to be lost. I want to be sure of who I am now. And I hope that you're sure of who you are now. And Angelina, thank you so much for bringing something so simple. Like, we think our dreams are so simple, which they can be. And sometimes they're a little bit more elaborate, but there's always something in it for you. And whatever your takeaway is from that, that's your takeaway. You can use it to your advantage, to your disadvantage, or you could do nothing with it. But they mean something.
Thank you, Aurelia. You're going to make me cry.
Don't cry. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Thank you so much for being on. And I hope that we'll have another episode with you on too. And we can dive further, hear something else that's going on in Aurelia.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be researching some more of what we spoke about, especially the Midal. I'm intrigued.
Let me know what you find. I'll try to look at it too. But if you find anything juicy, let me know.
Okay.
But yeah, I just want to thank you again, everybody. Aurelia's information will be down below. Please check out her stuff. Check out her poetry. She's an amazing, amazing poet.
Yeah, thank you.
She is so confident and so strong, and she has so many words of encouragement and just expression of who she is. And I think all of you could take from that. And of course, hit her up if you have any events in New Jersey. Maybe there's something there. Maybe there's something that could happen.
Yes.
So yes, thank you everybody for listening. This was an episode with Aurelia. Join me after the break, where I will pull the oracle card reading and share a question of the week with all of you. So thank you.
Bye.
Hello, everybody. Okay, so you've made it this far. Congratulations. And also thank you for listening, for being here. And you know exactly what part this is, the oracle card drawing in the question of the week. So let's pull the oracle card, which also we will be pulling 2 again today. But can I just talk? This shamanic medicine oracle card deck that I have, I love this one so much. I think I have been playing favorites with this one. It feels like it meshes so well with who I am. And yeah, I just gotta say that. I really love it. So that's the one that I use in a lot of these. But we will be pulling 2 today. So let's see. Also, just shout out to amazing friends. While I'm filming this, David just got home from work. We work together, and Aurelia also works with us. And she just gave me a random book again and gave it to him to bring home to me. So thank you, Aurelia. And also just shout out to all my other friends. Thank all of you guys. Thank you, Sarah, for those amazing oracle cards that you gave me before. Thank you, everyone. Everybody. All of you guys. Okay, and let's pull the card, okay? Okay, so the cards have presented themselves. The first card for this week is Tree People, and it says Sustenance. The book says, Ancient and old. The standing ones have been with us since our beginning. Trees are the wisdom keepers. They hold and support birds, animals, and insects, and are the lungs of the planet. Their exhalation and inhalation. These sustainers of life are wonderful gateways to the other worlds, as the tree spirits are multidimensional. When Tree People appears, you are invited to transverse the lower and upper worlds of the spirits and ancestors. Do you feel the trees talk to you on some level as you walk amongst them? Do you speak with them or give them a hug? You have been chosen as a custodian of the earth and have a responsibility to the tree spirits. How often have you sat against a tree, closed your eyes, and journeyed as you became one with its spirit? To be one with a tree awakens the spirit within you. Within every tree resides medicine that can help you through life's journey. Get to know the trees and draw from their resources, as and when required. Tree people will support you and help you sustain all you need on your quest. Consider your footprint on the world around you. Seek better ways to do things. Teach others to become more ecologically aware. Spend time in the company of trees. Vital signs and omens are found out in nature. Support environmental causes. Recycle. And then here's the little tree people speaks. Standing tall, often ignored. Branches cut down, chopped, and sawed. Heal beneath an oak or yew. Energies flow to sustain you. So take what you must from this card. It really feels like the wisdom of the world. And diving deeper within that and realizing that things are all interconnected. You, me, the plants, the trees, the birds, and the bees. On to the next card. This one is from another oracle card deck. It says, Star Family. You're part of a team of souls. Call in support. At some stage, we were each a part of a soul cluster, a gathering of souls who broke away from one another to experience themselves individually. Those who are part of your soul cluster are part of your star family. Your star family are those souls who are cut from a similar cosmic cloth. You haven't just experienced lifetimes together, your souls were once actually one. It's very common for star family members to incarnate at similar times, to work with anchoring a similar frequency of light, and to cross paths with each other. You know that someone is part of your star family when you feel like you know and remember them from the moment you meet. They feel instantly familiar and comfortable. Time both passes quickly and stretches when you're with them. You feel more yourself with them than with anyone else. It can sometimes feel like looking in the mirror, because in a way you are. Often you'll go out of your way to help those in your star family, instinctively knowing it's part of your path. When a star family member dies, you feel it very deeply, regardless of how long you've known them. A certain soul mourning or soul breaking occurs. Think about the people in your life. Who do you feel is part of your star family? If this card comes up in a spread, it's likely that you've met someone who is part of your star family, or you're about to. And with these cards, I definitely just get this interconnectedness, knowing who is right for you and where you stand, but also connecting and holding each other up, holding each other within the branches to see the light, to grow tall and stand firm and plant your roots down, spreading knowledge, using your voice and expression, finding your people, being who you want your people to be. So that leads me into the question of the week, which is a couple of questions. What is something in your life that needs to be lost? Something that you've been clinging on to that no longer serves you, whether it's a view or an object or something consuming a lot of your time that would probably benefit you if it was just no longer there. And then the opposite question, what's something that should be found within your life? Something that if you were to have this thing, this idea, this view, would brighten your life a bit more, or start leading you down the path that you envision, or maybe something that you don't even envision yet, just something that would be beneficial to your soul. What's something that you need to find? And yes, I think those are the questions for this week and the oracle cards for this week. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you come back for more. And I hope you also consider coming on yourself or leaving me a little cute, crazy, random message about what you dream or something you want to hear. And I look forward to that. So thank you, every single one of you. Thank you so much for listening. This was Angelina Young on Journey Through the Dreamscape, and I hope you join me again. Real quick, feature editing Angelina. I forgot to introduce this. We have Aurelia's poem, Bruja Turns Christian, and you can listen to it right now.
This is Bruja Turns Christian. I've been told many times by the people that I love, by society's coven, that I cannot love, be of God, while embracing being a bruja. Herbs and crystals intertwined in the words, the rose, and the margins of the Bible. Make love to healing in our barrios with curanderas and brujos that wear crystals and beads as odes to their bodies and say the same prayers as me. 3 kings carry gifts on the day of both Mary and Jesus' birth. Gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. A feeling that mirrors walking out of Rain and River Apothecary, feeling like I found the love of God inside white paper bags imprinted with gold-filled letters. Honored by carrying the weight of incense, cramp bark, and chase tree berries, agua de Florida, and a small Ziploc filled with frankincense and myrrh to invite blessings and protection into our home. Revelations of angels sitting on thrones, shining in the sky like jasper and carnelian, draping Gentile priests in ephods, covered in engraved black onyx stones mounted in gold. A reminder of what it means to be the true people of Israel, and somehow having Caribbean and African traditions, chanting and beating drums in your blood don't match. Tales of giving thanks to spirit, but it never being acceptable that you could talk to multiple spirits or the dead, even knowing that Jesus had a multitude of words taken down from a cross. Tell them that he is risen, and the Italian man sitting in a pew speaks in tongues, languages unheard of. So when my sisters beat their drums across lands near and far, gyrating their curves on their bodies, chasing to be filled in overflow of the Espiritu, crying out in unison their worships at the sky, because isn't that where God resides? Isn't that what his people come to seek? To be whole, if just for a moment, every Sunday sitting next to your neighbor, while lifting your hands to the Most High, moving your body to a rhythm only instruments can play, with the expectation of being filled with the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Running back to my childhood, nights when mommy put me on the subway, gallivanting all the way to Queens to honor queens with offerings, pouring life's fears and blocks into a room where God would be joining us, not a moment too soon. Before she lets her soul float away, an empty vessel to invite in patron saint Anaisa, declaring how intellectual you'll be in the future, how protected you are by the Lord above, with generations of cackles born from the bellies of the ancestors before us. I've been told many times by the people that I love, by society's coven, that I cannot love, be of God, while embracing being a bruja, except that God shines a light through me, covers me, and still loves me, no matter how much I smudge, no matter where I go with crystals in tow. You'd label me a new age witch, but God sent me a butterfly today, because this morning I took an extra dose of doubt. Have this. Let me show you I love you. Just sit. Open your eyes. You are my child. I see purity within you, regardless of what you could or could not do. I've never experienced a love like this. Have you? Its yellow wings and black edges spread so wide, fluttering from time to time, causing you to glide so effortlessly, covering you in awe the entire time. A love so perfect, tinted windows for a peek into the soul. The ants crawl on me like an aged stump the Father has risen from the ground. Ancient roots grasp the earth, soil crumbling through its knuckles, long before I decided to lay here, on my bumblebee patterned blanket, all the answers whispered in between the branches, filled with dainty leaves. I am okay with sitting in warm winds today, for they mean I am alive, embracing every part of me because he made me perfect in his image. And because I choose to sit in silence, I can hear his gifts, the silencing of what should no longer sit in my heart.
And that was Aurelia's poem. You can find out more about her on her Instagram, which will be down below, and also her website that I created. Thanks, guys. If you found this episode or my previous ones insightful, chances are someone else you know will think so too. It'd be incredibly helpful and lovely if you shared this with them so that they can find something that possibly resonates with them too. To hear more, please subscribe to my channel. To stay updated in between episodes or to contact me for episode ideas and feedback, please go to my website, angelinayoung.com, or follow my Instagram, which will be down below. I'm always excited and open to hearing how and what you've dreamed of. So please do not hesitate to reach out. Thank you, my beautiful dreamers. This was Angelina Young on Journey Through the Dreamscape. Tune in next week. Until then, see ya!